Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Shiva, you're audible.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. First of all, welcome all of you for sparing an hour and joining the session. I really appreciate that. And welcome to the last session of the today's AI and data track of the Global Azure Virtual 2020 Singapore. And in this session, we will see how to leverage Azure IoT Hub and Stream Analytics to get the devices from to get the telemetry from the device that I have. I have an MX chip with me, and to get the data stored into the Cosmos DB, and then the same data will be live streamed into a real-time Power BI dashboard, and also the same telemetry will be seen from the Power Apps. So all the data can be seen in Power Apps mobile app. So the idea of this session is to just showcase how the technologies can come together, which are under the Microsoft ecosystem, to build, which will enable us to build a intelligent maintenance system. But this is very small glimpse of that. What are the potential the technologies can do? It can be extended to to a wide range. So there is no limit. The sky is the limit. Let me quickly, so before that, just a quick introduction about myself. As Mohammed said, myself, Jeevarajan Kumar. I'm a business application consultant. I'm also a business application MVP. And you can see this is my Twitter handle. Kindly follow if you guys have not following me yet. So today's agenda is going to be the first thing, we'll just see the use case. So we have a use case diagram that will be just showing what are we going to do, and then followed by an introduction about the key services that we are using in our case. After that, we'll jump into the walkthrough of the setup and we'll see some demo. Finally, the stage is yours. You can shoot questions and I try to answer my best. So let's quickly jump into the use case, and we'll see that now I have a simple architecture diagram of what exactly we are going to see. It's very quite straightforward. So we have an IoT device right here. So that is the MX chip, the same chip I have with me. And we have the device data, the telemetry have been streamlined to, it's captured, it's registered in the IoT Hub. And the data has been taken as input in the Stream Analytics. And then the same data has been sent to Cosmos DB and also to Power BI. So I have not mentioned the Power BI here, so I just added that. So we have another Stream Analytics to send it to Power BI as well. And from the Cosmos DB, the Power Apps retrieves the same data in through Flow, Microsoft Flow, the Microsoft Power Automate. But this can be extended with the Dynamics 365 as well, but let's not go into detail that one now. And the same, this is what we are seeing is just for a single device. So for a single device, we are just going to see the whole setup, but this can be extended with multiple devices in multiple geolocations and multiple types of devices as well. So which I'll just show you how to do that. But for now, today, we will just see having a single device registered and how the whole setup works with that. The first services, the major services is the IoT Hub, of course. So as you know, IoT Hub is a managed services. It is hosted in Azure, and you can use IoT Hub to build IoT solutions with reliable and secure communication between a bunch of IoT devices and the portal, the IoT applications. You can connect virtually to any device to IoT Hub. So if there are the licensing of the IoT Hub, it's based on the there's a free tier which you'll get around 8,000 messages per day, but there is different scales. I'll just share you the URL later. Probably you can take a look into that. And the next important one is the Stream Analytics. So the Stream Analytics is a real-time analytics, and it helps you to process the events that is that comes from the IoT devices, or it could be from Event Hub, or it could be IoT Hub. Where if in case of Event Hub, we can use it from multiple logs. In case of IoT Hub, it's going to come from the devices. And then you can also apply machine languages on top of that if needed. And for example, to detect any anomaly or sort of things, we can apply a machine language, Azure ML, something like that. And then we'll be able to predict the anomalies and can do preventive measures rather than reactive measures. So in our case, we are not going to do that, but it's going to be we'll see the next diagram. We'll have the flow what we are trying to do. So basically, yeah. So the stream analytics is optimized for the cost. So with respect to cost, there are no upfront cost involved. You will pay only for the stream units you consume and the amount of data being processed. So the stream units is a term that Microsoft uses to compute to form the computation capabilities that is used by the stream analytics. So this is one of the use case, talking about the hot path analytics. So what is hot path analytics? So in analytics, typically we can do it in two ways. One is analyzing an event in the real-time situation, real-time applications like this, or can be the devices can be analyzed in batches, like the end of the day batches, which will the data that got from the multiple devices will be analyzed and then processed later. But in case of the hot path analytics, so you react and respond to things happening in your environment within a matter of few seconds. So you can see that the data can come from anywhere. So the data can come from multiple devices, and and it can be coming from your applications as well, like logs or any certain events that triggered by your application. So in case of application, the event data will be pushed to event hubs. In case of devices, it will be configured with the IoT hub. And then if you also have any blob data in blob storage or any other data sources, you can have that here. And then the same data will be injected to do the real-time processing by stream analytics. And also if you want, the stream analytics doesn't preserve the data. It will just get the data and it do the analytics, and it can send it to a output system. So the output, if you want to preserve the data permanently for a long time, so for long term, you can have it either in Cosmos DB or Data Lake or another event hub, something like that. And if you're talking about getting the data out of the stream analytics into a real-time dashboard, we can do the same thing with Power BI. And at the same time, so another important thing is with the data, we can have another triggers or workflows to kick off any specific events. Like for example, certain things can be handled automatically from the by the system itself. Like for example, there could be certain issues or cases that can be just resolved by restarting the system or by sending any patching, something like that. So the same thing can be done with the automation that can be kicked off from the stream analytics based on that data issue that is being read by the stream analytics. So as I said earlier, we can also use machine learning to find out the pattern and to detect the anomaly upfront before even the device gets spoiled. So when you're talking about big systems which are critical, so we can't afford to wait until the system gets spoiled. So in those cases, we can use the machine language to detect it upfront and do it. And then obviously the third and important services that we have for today's demo is we have Microsoft Power Platform. So if you guys were already aware of that, you might be knowing that the Power Platform consists of three major services. It has Power BI, which is an analytics and reporting engine services provided by Microsoft, and then Power Apps, which is a low code and no code development. So today we're going to see the Canvas app. We're going to have a very simple app with a single screen, which shows the data from the Cosmos DB. But it can be extended. The app can be more complex as well, and it can be the Canva app or it can be model-driven app. So model-driven app is kind of ERP kind of pre-built app in a pre-built framework where you can extend it, for example, like customer service systems or like sales systems where there are already data and workflows and automations being configured for any business to start and do it. So that can be extended as well. That is model-driven app. Canva app is very straightforward, which we're going to see in today's demo. And Power Automate is something like it is for the automation, and also lots of and it's for the integrations. So there are a plethora of resources that Power Automate supports to pass the data between multiple systems. So in our case, we are going to get the data from Cosmos DB, and we're going to push it to Power Apps through Power Automate, so without any code. So this is the Power platform, and apart from that, you also have AI Builder. So I believe if you have seen the previous session, you might have got an idea about that. So it uses the Azure Cognitive Services internally. It's a services built on top of the Azure Cognitive Services, like face recognition or QR code scanning and form processing, something like that. So this is a quick introduction about the Power platform. So without further ado, let's quickly jump into the action. So that's all slides. I don't have any more slides other than this. So I just want to show you how the things are working at the back end. So probably we can have a more interactive session instead of just going through the slides. All right. So let me minimize this. Oops, sorry. So I'm just trying to, okay, I'll just first walk through what is happening. Then I'll just show you how it has been built in the backend. Is that okay? Okay, take it as okay. So let me quickly pull my thing here. So you can see that this is it's just very simple screen in the Power App, so we don't have any complex in here. So you can see this data. If I go and refresh, it pulls it from the Cosmos DB. So it's going to show you the data that comes from the device that I have now, which I'm going to show you shortly. So this device will be constantly sending data like temperature and humidity to my event hub, sorry, Azure IoT Hub, and then that data has been taken and pushed to Cosmos DB, and we are consuming that through Flow. And you can see that. So I also set some conditions like when we see the data, if the temperature is, this is just very quite simple, but you can think about a scenario where like in kind of servers, where the data centers, where the temperature goes below a certain point of time, you want to trigger any event. So it just to showcase that can be done. So we are just highlighting it in a different color, but ideally, so we can also, as we said, we can just trigger another workflow, or we can send an email to the respective authorities, or we can just create notifications and send it to the people to state and to take it and work on that. Or we can send it to any ERP or CRM systems, to create the tickets, and then the people will be following up with that. So something like that. But the idea is just to showcase that, when someone who is on the field, when they have a mobile or tablet app with them, so they will be, when they log into the system, they can see the data from the multiple devices. So as I said earlier, right here, we are getting the data only from single device. Okay, I have only one MX chip with me, and the data is coming from that. Ideally, what happens is there will be a hell lot of devices working in different region. So when the maintenance person or who's on the field takes the mobile app, and he is going to automatically log in with his credentials, office credentials, and he just gives a nice welcome message here, and he will have let's say we can think about something like that. It will have a multiple regions to choose, or it will have emergency alerts like this. Whatever the emergency actions that needs to be taken, it can be highlighted in the first window like this. And then if the resource or the person wants to go and check on what is happening in other devices in this region or other region, we can always have multiple options to pick between the devices, and we can literally the same kind of data you're going to see between multiple devices. Okay. And also we can segregate this or group this with the regions, right? So the data that we can group the IoT devices in the IoT hub, and we can have multiple IoT hubs with the different regions. We can group it something like that. And in the app, we can choose the city or state which the maintenance team wants to see it. And then based on that, we can filter the data. Okay, so this is kind of POC kind of thing, as you can see. But what I am saying is the enhancements, that it's possibilities of enhancements, right? And at the same time, let's say you have some alerts and you want to highlight it to, let's say you wanted to send it to you needed a certain equipments, for example, to fix that specific device issue. So let's say we can have another option here, a button something, to send an order, to purchase order to finance, to the procurement team. So who will be just taking up the order, and they will have in their system, in any ERP system like SAP or Dynamics, they will have the request for the purchase order, and then they will just create that, and then eventually it will come back. I can have another screen saying what on the details of what happening to that order, and once this devices on the spare parts or anything is ready, then I can just pick it on it, work on it, and I can close it. You got my point. So these are the variations of improvements that it can be. There is no limit for that. And also we can let me just quickly show a Power BI. So it's again, it's a very quite simple one, but you can extend it to again okay, so I have the humidity count from there, and the temperature. Let me see my okay, the stream analytics has failed. Let me start it again. So what happens is, you can see a variety of graphs or representations of the data, what is happening. So similarly in the dashboard, you can see critical data or the data that needs immediate alert, and the same Power BI, either people can use it from the Power BI app in the phone, or they can also embed the Power BI in the Power Apps. I didn't do that, but it's really quite straightforward as well. So we can have another screen to see the the reports or the devices that is performing well, and devices that is having so many anomalies, or the devices that needs maintenance, something like that. So we can create the dashboard, and the data can be pulled out of the stream analytics, and the same can be visualized from the Power BI, from the Power Apps as well. Okay, so I just have data here, and let me. So this is the overall system in result of what we have built, but there are a lot of things involved behind it. It might seem simple, but there are lots of things involved behind it. So once we have similar setups, and when the scale of the setup, the more we increase it, we're going to have more possibilities and features to add to the app and the system, right? So let me turn on the camera first, and I just show you the device that I have now with me. Okay, I'm just careful with this one. I don't want to break this. Just a moment. So far, any doubts on we'll see how the things works in the behind the screen. But so far, any doubts on what I have told with respect to the scenario that we are trying to explore?
I think even no question yet. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if you have questions, kindly drop in the chat, so I'll be able to answer that later.
Question very quickly, if you can allow me to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. So Jeevarajan, first of all, thank you so much for explaining it. We understand what you're trying to say by looking at the architecture, but we are curious to know, I mean, when you say like the data can be imported and be loaded into my Cosmos DB, okay? But for example, if some of my customer does not have a preference to go with the Cosmos DB, although I know that Cosmos DB is really very popular, very effective, but for example, if they said they have something else, maybe they wanted to store in the some other database, right? Not Cosmos DB. So is it possible to have that storage in, on the other than the Cosmos DB, or this is only you are trying to highlight this Cosmos DB and only in this particular case?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we're talking about storing the data permanently. So if you can see my screen, so you can see that this is the stream analytics. Okay, so let me. Yeah, it started successfully. So this stream analytics, what it does is it takes the input and the output. Okay, so let me open the Cosmos DB one. So in the output, instead of Cosmos DB, you can store it in other data sources that the system offers by itself. If you're using stream analytics, let me stop it and show you that. So Girijesh, right? Yeah. So Girijesh, we can see that. So we can have multiple events like this, like you can just push it into SQL, plain SQL, or you can
Okay.
have a data lake and, like, or direct Power BI
Excellent.
or Azure function. I don't know, like something that in Azure function, then you can just take the data and put it to any third-party system also, like if you wanted to do. Okay. Once you
Okay.
have that, then once you have the data permanently stored in any of your setup, we can import that, bring that back to Power Apps with using the flow. So as I said, Flow have a plethora of connectors to multiple systems like Salesforce, SAP, and like MySQL, or just Access, whatever it is. So once you have the data stored through this Stream Analytics, we can always read that data back using the Flow, or we can write our own code as well with the APIs. So does that answer your question, or?
Absolutely, very well. Thank you so much. If you can, just one question following
Yeah.
to this question. Can this be also supported some sort of data management policy? Why I'm asking it, because the case what we're dealing, we are having huge variety of data sets, right? So we wanted to segregate in that three categories like hot data, cold data, warm data. Okay. So the data which is not being accessed in 30 days, we wanted to put into my so-called cold data zone, so that we can pay something less, similar like what Azure is giving like a storage server account, right?
Yeah.
So and if something similar I wanted to achieve over here, the data which is coming from my different IoT systems. So
Oh,
can this be implemented here?
okay, perfect. That's another good question. Let me just quickly show you the query here.
Yeah.
So in the Stream Analytics, you have a thing like this. Okay, so what it does is, once the data we get it from the input, right, device, you can, this is just a simple SQL query, but you can think about complex queries, right, where you can just have multiple filters, and based on the filter which you are using to segregate the cold data and the hot data that needs to be attended immediately, you can push it to their respective outputs. You got my point? So you
Yeah,
can,
very.
yeah. So if you want to get the immediate attention, and you will just use it to the output which you wanted to, the right one, and also you can just show it in the real-time dashboard, so that immediately people will just start taking it and working on it, or you can have automated workflow. And the other data that doesn't, like cold data, you can just route it to some other database like Azure database, like data lake or SQL, and that have it there, and you can run an end of the day batch on that, and then you can just process it later.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Jeevarajan, for answering all those questions. If time permits, I'll ask the last question from my side. But that's something not maybe if quite relevant to this particular topic. Because sometime before, I was in a conference call, maybe for pre-sales activities for one of my customer. So there, I know, I mean, that's very common question when you used to be asked. A gentleman has asked, why should I prefer Microsoft Power BI rather than any other tool, maybe Tableau or ClickView, right? So maybe because you guys are coming from the Microsoft, theme. So I wanted to know. If although I'll try my best to answer him as much as I can, with highlighting the technical capabilities and all, with the connectors, with the user friendly, with the cost and all. But do you have any other insight which can help us to go and basically pitch the customers more, so then customers can buy, or maybe can be more intent towards Power BI rather than Tableau or ClickView?
Got it. So to be honest with you, I'm not the Power BI expert, but I can take this question,
Yeah,
and
please.
probably I will pass it to Mohammed, and he can
That would be really
help
great.
you to, yeah, he can help you to, or one of us can help you to connect with the person, so that you can
Absolutely,
get it.
absolutely. I would love
Yeah,
to
we
that.
have experts here, like Sanjeev is there, and yeah, so
Oh,
they're
wow,
all,
excellent.
so we can reach out to anyone. No worries. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so
No
much.
worries.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
No,
thank you.
no worries. No worries. Welcome. Oops, sorry. So let's just get into the underlying architecture, underlying system, how it's behaving, and let's see that. So I just want to quickly open my camera and show my device first. Let me know if you guys are able to see it. Can you guys see it?
Yes, we can, Jeev.
And my beautiful t-shirt also, right?
Yeah.
Very funny. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that the temperature and the humidity have been keep sending to the Event Hub, so which you are literally seeing it here, in real time. Okay, let me start it. Which is seeing the real time from the device to this Stream Analytics. Okay, so having said that, I'll just show you the code that involves behind that. It's very quite straightforward, and there are already example codes that is available with that as well. So you can see that. So this is the Visual Studio Code environment, and we have the data being sent from this device that I showed you now, and it keeps sending it. You can see that it keeps sending it. You see. So temperature and humidity are the two things we are capturing now. So like this, it keeps flowing in. The moment it keeps flowing in here, and you will see that in your IoT hub right here. So you can see that the IoT Hub usage, I just connected it like 10 minutes before the session starts, and it's already 605 messages. So it's a free version. We have only 8,000 messages, and you can see that now like the data, how it's been pushed to cloud. So this is the activity log, and you can have it for 1 hour, or you can have it for like multiple days. And how the device is registered, you can see that if you want to register a new device, you can just push it here and do that. So if I go to this device, it's going to have the connection strings for that, and that is the same thing as been used in my device to register it. Okay, so and then so once you have the IoT hub set up with the device, and once you start getting this telemetries into IoT hub, you can see that literally what's happening here. And once you have that, the second step, if you take our architecture, so we have done with this one, and then the next one is the stream analytics. So if I open the stream analytics, so this is how it's going to look. So I just show you right now. So once it's really quite straightforward. It's you just go and create a new stream analytics. It's going to ask you to choose your resource and subscription. Once you do that, there's the three primary things are input and output. So this is Cosmos DB. Yeah, over here. So it's going to ask you the input and the output and the query that I just showed you. So while choosing the input, if I go and choose here, you can see what is the input it gets. So it gets Event Hub, or it can get it from IoT Hub, or it can get it from blob storage. So in case of Event Hub, when if you have applications, and then that comes routed to the Event Hub. And now in case of this scenario, you just choose the IoT Hub. When you choose the IoT Hub, it's going to ask you all these things to key in. Like IoT Hub and what messaging it is to be, and this is all comes from the IoT Hub that I just created earlier. Just key in this, and that's all. And then the next thing would be output. So output I just showed you now. So we have multiple options, and I've just chosen the Cosmos DB, and I just entered the account ID and account key and the document name. So and the query is where you do the massaging or filtering, whatever you want. We're just selecting only the message ID, as a device name, and then humidity and temperature for now to keep it simple. So next thing, apart from the stream analytics, the next thing would be the Cosmos DB, right? So these three are the main setup that we have in the Azure portal now. So if you take the Cosmos DB, so you can let me open my Data Explorer. So the reason we go to Cosmos DB is since we were talking about the bigger picture of the scenario, what we are seeing now, like when we have multiple devices, multiple types of devices, which will return you to different type of data. So we can't be sure that which device is going to return what kind of data. So to have it in a common platform and to have it in common data and to make it more elastic, we are just going with the Cosmos DB, and of course it's cheaper as well. And here you can see that all the outputs that get streamed from the device is being now routed to the Cosmos DB. So if you want to try any filter and get the result set, you can just do it here. So you can just add your filter and you can apply. You're going to see the respective data. And then with being said, so this all the setup that's completed in the Azure portal, and now we have the Power Platform side where the data has been picked by the flow and it's been passed to the Power App. Okay. But before going to the Power App, I just want to show you how it's being pushed to Power BI. So because that again, I have to come back to this Azure portals. So better I'll just complete the Power BI. Let me open the, yeah. So I have created one more stream analytics job. And in this job, as you can see, I'm just reading same. The input is going to be IoT Hub, but this time the output is going to be Power BI. So how does that work? Instead of choosing Cosmos DB, you can just choose the Power BI, and the workspace that you have in the Power BI is going to get displayed. So if I open my Power BI, so if you open Power BI, you can see that I have this workspaces. So this workspace is what will be shown to you when you just, it's going to ask you, it's going to pop up and ask you the credential. Once you enter your organization credential, it's going to list out the workspace and the data set name and table name. You can just enter the data set, and this data set is what you're going to see it here. Okay, so I just added, you can see that it's in real time, the data is being fetched from the device and it's being pushed from the stream analytics from right here to here. Okay, so once you have the data set name, when you come to the Power BI, once you go to the workspace, you're gonna, you can just create any dashboard. When you create a dashboard, under the dashboard, you should have a tile, right? When you have a tile, so if I go back from the beginning, so once you have the workspace, you can just create a dashboard. Okay, I already created a dashboard. This is the dashboard, and in this dashboard you can just add a tile. So if you see this, there's something called custom streaming data. This is a real-time data that comes from the thing. Okay, and then if I select next, it's going to show me the data that the data set that we have entered here. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, so that's where you're seeing the data coming from that. So once you choose a data set, it's gonna have you can choose multiple variety of charts that provides. So I have just chosen a card, which you're seeing here, and then the line chart where I have the time, the process time, and the humidity level, which you are seeing right now. So this same tile can be literally embedded inside the Power Apps, and I didn't do that. I missed it. So you can just have one more screen and you can just keep watching it. We have everything in your app, right? So this is the Power BI setup of Power BI and the Stream Analytics thing. So ideally, in this scenario, instead of this path, we'll have one more path from here where you take one more Stream Analytics and we just push it to Power BI. So now talking about the flow and Power Apps. So let me quickly open my flow. So in the flow is very quite straightforward. The trigger point is going to be the Power Apps. So the people who are new to the flow, it's like you might seem it very similar to Azure Logic App. And it's in fact the flow is built on the Logic App framework. So it's going to have the trigger point as Power Apps, and then I can just add the next step. The next step would be querying the documents from Cosmos DB. As you can see that the moment it will ask me to enter the Cosmos DB the connection, basically this one. So it's gonna ask me to enter this one, like this. So yeah. So once you enter that one, let me quickly image this. So it will be able to pick the containers that you have. So I have so far only one container and the collection. And then this is a query text. So what I've done is I'm just selecting the data that has been written in my Cosmos DB here. So the same data, you can just use the query and you can try it out here, and then you can just paste the same query there in the flow in the query text. So once you have that, the the last step that I have just added here is the API response. So once you have the API response, it is going to ask for the body of the API, which is going to be documents. As you know, like in Cosmos DB, things are stored in document. So the body is going to be document, and then the last thing you're going to do is to let the system know what is the schema of the JSON that that can be the flow can understand. So for that you can just use this button, and you can just take one of the sample JSON that you get from the Cosmos DB. You can just go here and you can just take this one of the sample and just copy paste it here, and then you select done. The moment it will automatically create the schema definition for you. If when you create the schema definition, it will add all the fields in the required field. So this is what I have spent a couple of hours breaking my head. So what happened was in my telemetry data, if you can see it in my Cosmos DB, the temperature and humidity it doesn't come all the time. Sometimes you can see in this one even there's no temperature, because this particular device returns the sensors, and there is some time lag between the sensors to return the data. So a certain log will have humidity, certain will have temperature, certain will not have both, certain will have both the humidity and temperature. So in that case, I need to make sure that I remove those from the required, and I just keep only the ID, the GUID from the required field. Once you have this all things set up, you can just save it and you can test it right here before even calling from the Power Apps. So you can just use a test. So it's going to connect to your Cosmos DB, and then when you run the flow, it's going to show the result. So you can see from the Cosmos DB, you have the data that we have queried for, right? In the query cycle query, we just had only 4, and you can get you can see that this particular thing have both the inputs, and this have both. And it's good that now it's returning almost both for everything. But earlier it was like pathetic. And then in the response, same, you're going to see the response. You see the earlier there was only ID and then there was no temperature. So it is like, I have just taken top 100, but if you want to sort it by descending and take only top 50, you can do that in the SQL query, in the flow. So once you tested the flow, now you have the last thing to do is take it in the Power Apps, in the mobile app. So I'm not going to go much detail in the Power App. So I'll just share some information on that later. So what I have done is, it's as I said, it's a low code, no code platform where you can just design the app by drag and drop without doing much. So literally when I close my app, this is how the interface is going to look like. So I've just had only one screen, but you can have multiple screens. Okay. So what I have done is I've just added a gallery. So this control is called gallery. So this will take data from any data sources. So if you see this, so I have just taken the data source from the, so what I've done is when my app gets started, so I have a command and on start of the app, when my app gets started, I'm just calling the flow. So you can see this is how we call a flow. So how do we know the flow name? This is very quite straightforward. You can just go here and you go to action. It is going to have a Power Automate. So when I say flow, don't please confuse the Microsoft Flow and Power Automate are same. They just renamed the flow to Power Automate. So the Power Automate, once you click here, you're going to see all the Power Automates under your environment. So if I go to my flows, now I'm going to see all the flows under my environment, and the same thing is going to be displayed here in the editor window. And once you choose the flow, it automatically adds something like that. If you want to pass any variable, you can initialize the variable in the flow, and that if you do that, it will ask for a variable to be passed from here. So what I've done is it's very straightforward. As you can see, this is a command from Power Apps. So this is the command to call the flow, and this will return the results. So out of that result, I'm just excluding the empty, humidity, and temperature, right? Which you can exclude it right in the Cosmos DB in the flow itself. I have just done this to show you in the different places. I think I got lost for a minute. My laptop suddenly, it's totally weird. I don't know what happened. Suddenly got okay, never mind. So I just added it supposed to show the different areas that you can do the data operation. Okay, so I'm just collecting in a result set, and that result set goes as the item for this gallery. That's why you're seeing the result set here. And to show this temperature in the red, it's very straightforward again. You can just show on, no, this is where the temperature is there. I've just added the color. The temperature is less than 30. I just made it in the red, otherwise it's white. No, something like that. So it's very quite simple. And in case of refresh, again, I'm just doing the same thing that happened in the apps chat, which is going to refresh the data and keep loading my app again. So if you can see, if I do a refresh, you can see there's 3 dots running here, which means it's talking to the flow and getting the data back. So now it's refreshed. See? Okay. So you can also have a filter, multiple filters on this, as I said earlier. And apart from this, what else I would like to show? Oh God, help me! I don't know why suddenly reset the second time. So anyway, I'm seriously apologize for that. I don't know what happened suddenly. Maybe too much operations I'm running behind the screen. Yeah. So I think it's the Camtasia. Let me stop this thing. Yeah. So yeah. So this is the demo or setup I would like to walk through. Yeah. So we have seen the Azure and then Azure services and then Power BI and Flow and Power Automate. Any questions? Like, please feel free to ask.
So Jeeva, this is fantastic, because it actually combines multiple technologies to actually showcase a solution. The question I have is, when it comes to things like Cosmos DB or anything on the data platform side, or on actually the Power Platform side, how can actually one know more? As an example, is there some kind of a meetup that is on data platform where one can actually know more about, let's say, Cosmos DB, streaming from services into the database, setting up the database, security, things of that nature. There are all kinds of fun stuff happening on blockchain and things like that nowadays. Is there anything coming up on that? And then subsequently, is there something actually coming up on the Power Platform side? Because as you were talking about it, I've actually heard of things like connected field service and whatnot, as you were talking about field service, where you could actually provision people to go out and repair stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, so that's a good question, Sanjeev. So what we have is, this is if guys who already signed up, you might have signed up already with the same meetup, most of you, other than who came from LinkedIn or something like that. So this is our Singapore Microsoft, meetup, majorly focused on Azure, Office, data, AI, business applications, etc. whatnot. So like today's event, we have a more exciting event, happening all the time, like in Azure. Like we have monthly events in Azure, we have monthly events in Office, and then data platform, and in AI and mobile application like Xamarin, and also we have in business applications, where the one that I just was explaining about in Power Platform and business application. So you can see there is on business application meetup coming in the next week, and that is
Hi guys, I think there is some issue with machine.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I keep losing it. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think this is what I was trying to show. So we have a separate meetup for the business application Power Up as well. So which you can see next week. We have speakers from multiple countries in the ASEAN, and we have lots of interesting sessions to lined up. So to stay update on top of these technologies, you can always go and watch out for the BizApp and Power Platform meetup. And similarly, we have SQL Pass chapter meetup where you can, so there are a couple of interesting sessions coming up, from Asif himself and then from Arok. Similarly, like, you can keep watch of this channel and you're going to get lots of updates and information that you can use.
Fantastic, Jiva. In fact, actually, if you could kindly, both for the SQL Pass meetup and the BizApps meetup, if you could kindly just share the links on the chat window so we could go in and register. And if I'm not mistaken, what I can see is 28th of April is the SQL Pass meetup. So that's like literally in 3 days' time. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanjeev and Jiva, on this. Yeah.
Thank you, Mohammed.
And one last thing, Jiva. One last thing, Jiva, actually, and this is more from what I have seen in my past life as an example. I was in engineering, and we were basically, I'm mechanical, there were electrical people, and there were optical people, working together. And from a pure IT standpoint, there were embedded software engineers, but the thing is, from a pure IT standpoint, we never actually got to interact, if you will, with the IT team per se, meaning that the only people who used to come around were actually installing software and things of that nature, and IT help desk, What would you recommend as to the way by which we could, people other than IT people, as an example in this particular case, could interact with app developers and database developers so that we could co-create so many things. This is so exciting. What you demonstrated right now is incredibly exciting. So how do you think we could collaborate? And are the meetups one forum? Yes, thank you for sharing that. From an organization standpoint, what would you recommend? I mean, how do we do the marriage? I mean, would you, being in IT, go talk to the business, or the business comes to you? What is a good way of interacting with app developers and databases? Take my comments off the air.
Yeah, so to be honest, since I am my major is in business application side, so we work very closely with the business team and the tech team. But whereas if you are talking about a hardcore development, like a mobile application development or any platform development, what you're saying is it's the biggest, it's one of the biggest issue that we typically face. But nowadays, I believe, after we having all this development methodologies like agile and something like that, so the bond, or I would say the distance, has been reduced definitely. But I would encourage to make it more efficient, I would say, even for the tech, all these meetups and forums, or the online events. There are lots of online events happening nowadays because of this COVID. Most of the physical events have been converted to online events. So I strongly and also online universities like EDX, Coursera. So all these are offering Pluralsight, are offering lots of resources for business and tech as well. So instead of just holding to that point where it's mostly for the tech and we don't have anything to do with for business people, I would strongly say that, I suggest that it's not like that. It's not like that, at least anymore. So there are nowadays it's expected to know both the areas, at least to know high level, so that you can come up with the right solution. But definitely, yeah. So things like this meetup can be leveraged. Yeah.
Got it. So basically, we go online on things like LinkedIn and blogs and all that. Some of the blogs that you and your colleagues have actually published to, get set up. So that is one thing. Microsoft Docs, like Learn Docs, perhaps is another great forum to actually learn from for people who are non-IT people.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And then these meetups. Thank you very much, Jiva. This is outstanding information and a fantastic demo, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank you. I appreciate it. And any questions, guys, other than this?
No, we are very good. Thank you again. Thanks again
Okay.
for such a wonderful
Thank you,
session. Thank you.
Girish. Yeah, thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe.
You too. Yeah, have a great day. Have a safe history. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining the session. So please provide your feedback. Please provide your feedback on this channel. I have already shared the link on chat group for providing the feedback. Okay, so you can provide the feedback, so it will help us to improve. And you can also subscribe the YouTube channel for Microsoft Users Group, where we'll posting all the session videos, and slide decks will be available in the Meetup group. Yeah. And thanks again for joining everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, please provide the feedback. I'm sorry, I again thing got restarted. So kindly provide the feedback if you like the session. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining session and staying us with until end. Yeah, it was the last session. Okay, hope by next year we can join face to face. And speaker slides will be available soon on Meetup group, and the recordings will be on YouTube channel. So you may subscribe the YouTube channel, okay, and can provide a feedbacks by feedback URL. If anything, you can ping us on Meetup group comment section. Yeah, we'll surely reply on that soon. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jiva and Sanjeev, for providing nice session. Yeah, and feedback.
Thank you.